Okay guys, let's cut right to the chase on this one. We talked to Tfue's lawyer, and he helped us clarify a lot of the parts of the Tfue versus FaZe Clan lawsuit. He talked about what he said is the most shocking part of Tfue's original gamer agreement. He talked about the $60,000 figure, gave us some completely new information on the whole case, and even issued a challenge to FaZe Clan. Alright guys, so as you know, for a few weeks now, we have been following very closely the case of the Tfue versus FaZe Clan lawsuit. We broke down the lawsuit, Tfue's original contract, and the ongoing situation with underage streamer High Sky. Now, if you haven't watched those videos, pause this one, click right above my head, and open them in a new tab, because there's a lot to go over, and I will not waste your time here now by repeating it. Now, before we do begin, it's worth mentioning that we reached out to FaZe Clan so we could talk to their legal counsel as well and get their side of the story on this one. They did decline to comment, which is of course their right, and if they change that, we'll update you in the future. Tfue's lawyer is of course Brian Friedman. He is a high-profile California-based entertainment lawyer, a partner in Freedman and Taitelman. So let's start by very quickly boiling down this 23-page lawsuit to the very basics, according to Friedman. Basically, it's saying two things. Number one, that FaZe Clan is violating California law by acting as a talent agency in the state of California while not being licensed as such. Number two, that the agreement is in violation of section 16600 of the California Business and Professions Code. What exactly does that mean? We'll get to it. Now, why this actually matters beyond being illegal is that if FaZe Clan is doing this, it means they don't have to abide by the laws and regulations that govern talent agencies in the state of California. So Friedman says that if they were a licensed talent agency, that Tfue would have never had to sign this original gamer agreement in the first place because no regulatory body would ever approve it.
Had FaZe Clan applied for a talent agency license and obtained a talent agency's license, they would have then had to have their contract approved by the California Labor Commissioner, and a contract such as the one they have could never be approved by the Labor Commissioner, and therefore Tfue would have never been handed a contract that would have looked like the one that he got, because any licensed talent agency would not be allowed to use a contract such as that.
Now, the second thing that the lawsuit contends is that Tfue's original gamer agreement violates section 16600 of the California Business and Professions Code, which states, quote, every contract by which anyone is restrained from engaging in a lawful profession, trade, or business of any kind is to that extent void, end quote.
The other action is a lawsuit in the Los Angeles Superior Court, and that lawsuit is based on, in part, a violation of what's called 16600 of the Business and Professions Code. And what the code stands for is you cannot illegally restrain an employee or an independent contractor in California from working for someone else.
Basically, Friedman says that if you're designated as an independent contractor and not a full-time employee, that you're not bound to be employed only by a single group or business. So no matter what you hear from all the drama videos out there, those are the two main thrusts of this lawsuit. Now, one of the more interesting conflicts between the lawsuit and Tfue's gamer agreement is that the lawsuit was filed in California and alleges that the gamer agreement breaks California law. However, the gamer agreement has a clause in it that states that any legal action around that gamer agreement has to take place in the state of New York. So which one supersedes the other? Well, according to Friedman, perhaps unsurprisingly, it ain't gonna be New York.
FaZe Clan, their principal place of business is in California. They operate out of California. They're incorporated in Delaware. There's absolutely no reasonable relationship to the state of New York.
Now, it of course makes sense that Tfue's own lawyer would take that position, but I also talked to a few other lawyers who specialize in esports, and at least one of them, Josh Marcus of Toronto's MKM Group Law Agency, seems to agree.
The allegations with regard to a California statute would be brought in California. I don't think there's any question that that's the right jurisdiction for that court. And certainly there's no reason why Tfue can bring a claim that the contract is oppressive or violates any California laws. That would still be brought in California.
Now, one of the main points in all of FaZe Clan's communications since this lawsuit came out is the reiteration that they've gone back to Tfue time and again with better and better contracts that have, better and better revenue splits, and that they're trying to make things right and trying to get him on as best a contract as they can. And Friedman does confirm this. However, he says that the contracts that FaZe presented Tfue with behind the scenes when this whole thing started weren't even legal.
Those contracts provide for illegal procurement also, without a talent agency's license. And even worse, those contracts actually try to get Turner to waive the California Talent Agencies Act and the illegal procurement provisions, which is, by the way, legally unenforceable because they're to protect individuals and artists. And no one could possibly sign something like that would be so illegal.
Now, speaking of new contracts, one of the most interesting things Friedman told me, which I think is completely new information in this case, is that it wasn't just FaZe Clan presenting Tfue with contracts. Tfue's team actually presented FaZe Clan with a proposed contract, and they rejected it.
FaZe Clan was presented with a contract Turner would accept. It was, as close to a legal contract as you can get, but apparently that wasn't good enough for them, and they decided to mark up about half of it, get rid of about half of it, and put in their own provisions, which again made it illegal once again.
This is really interesting because it challenges the narrative of this whole controversy up until now. Until Friedman told me that, it had seemed, at least to me, that the entire point of what Tfue was doing was just to get out of a contract, that it didn't matter about any 80-20 splits, any $60,000, nothing in the details mattered, that Tfue just wanted to get out from under FaZe Clan, and FaZe Clan would do anything to retain him because he was so valuable to the brand. Now, if this is the case, if it is true that Tfue's team offered a legal contract to FaZe Clan and they essentially rejected it, that challenges that. Now, Friedman began representing Tfue after his team had presented that contract to FaZe Clan, so he wasn't able to tell me any details about why FaZe Clan would reject it. And frankly, I'm still confused. Isn't the game here, from FaZe Clan's side of things, just to keep Tfue on FaZe Clan? They don't care about making a dime directly off of Tfue. His value to the brand is there just being on the brand. I would really love to get FaZe Clan's side of the story, especially in regards to this particular issue. And again, I'm gonna keep trying, and if they do update me with any information, I will be sure to pass it on to you guys. Another figure that got tossed around a ton in the first few weeks of this controversy was the $60,000 figure. Specifically, FaZe Clan saying in their communications that they only took $60,000 from Tfue. When it came to this dollar amount, Friedman was not impressed, saying that it's completely disingenuous and does not represent Tfue's value to FaZe Clan's brand.
First of all, why are we sitting around believing that they only took $60,000? How you could rely on their $60,000 figure as to what they made off him, it's disingenuous. I mean, do you realize how much money FaZe Clan is making by having Turner as part of its team? How much advertising they're selling? How many sponsorships that they obtained because Turner was part of their team? It's almost laughable to think that they are saying that they took $60,000 from him and that's it, when they've made millions of dollars through sponsorships with Nissan and other companies by virtue of the fact of having popular gamers, the most popular of which was Turner. So to say that they've only made $60,000 off Turner is a complete fiction and doesn't take in the reality of how much they've made on their videos, how much they've made on their YouTube channels, how much they've made through sponsorships, brand deals, and otherwise by utilizing Turner's name and likeness and by having Turner as part of the team.
Now, since we're past that, forget about the $60,000 and forget about any 80-20 splits, because neither of those things, according to Friedman, were the most egregious, the most shocking parts of Tfue's original gamer agreement.
Is what I think is the most shocking provision in this entire agreement. And that's the agreement that says that at the end of the term that he has to sit out and can't play any video games online publicly for 6 months. And why would that provision, if you ask yourself, be in a contract for someone like him? Think about this. If he doesn't go online, doesn't stream, doesn't play for 6 months, what will that do to his following and his subscriber base and his career? It will absolutely, irreparably harm his career. So how you could have an illegal provision that is essentially a non-compete, that does not allow him to compete or even on his own to do his own craft and stream or publicly play video games online for 6 months, is shocking. And I'm really, really surprised that that's not the part of the contract that people are looking at and saying, wow, that's unbelievable. That would destroy someone's career.
Another piece of clarification I got from Friedman was regarding the original parts in the lawsuit surrounding underage drinking, underage gambling, and Tfue allegedly being pressured into doing dangerous stunts. Very quickly after the lawsuit was filed, Tfue came out with his own video saying specifically that he wanted those allegations removed from it. Friedman told me that he agreed with that and indicated that those allegations would be taken out and that that is not the point of the lawsuit at all.
Technically, it's like an attorney-client thing, but I respect my client, and to the extent that there's a mistake put in there or there's something in there that he didn't want in there, I'll own that, and that's not an issue at all. And I think that he's right in the sense that, you know, it's really not what, you know, notwithstanding the fact that Banks comes out and says and admits to the underage drinking, it's not what it's about. This is not what the case is about. It's really what it's never been about.
So what happens next? It's been almost a full month since the lawsuit was originally filed, and Tfue's legal team started this whole process back in September. Now, this perhaps isn't the most shocking thing in the world, but according to Friedman, one way or the other, Tfue is getting out of his contract.
It's going to happen one way or the other. FaZe Clan's contract is going to be deemed to be illegal. It's going to be deemed to be void, and they know it. And they know they've been violating the law. It doesn't take very much to stand up and be honest about it and say, you know what? We had some poor ownership before, and we've tried to change the way we do business, and we're going to do business differently, and, you know, we're going to do it with Turner. And I think that's the ideal situation. Barring that, it's going to be the courtroom. It's going to be in front of the labor commissioner, and the labor commissioner is going to look at this contract. The labor commissioner is going to look at all the illegal procurement that's happened. The labor commissioner is going to void this contract and say, no, no, no. Can't treat people like that. You can't operate as an illegal talent agency and try to get away being unlicensed. And, you know, I'll just put the question back to you, right? Would you go to a doctor that didn't have a medical license?
For eSports lawyer Josh Marcus's part, he feels that it is more than likely that this case will be settled out of court, which means, unfortunately, we probably won't get a lot of the dirty details going forward.
Odds are already that this case will settle. Given the publicity, I'd say it's even more likely to settle. Given that, you know, there's been a lot of numbers thrown around here. I would love for this matter to go to trial. I'm sure, you know, certainly all the lawyers would and the media would, because then we could actually see what comes out in the evidence. We'll see how much players are making and where that money is coming from. And that will all be a matter of public record.
Even so, he says that this case has already made a significant impact on the esports industry.
You know, I wouldn't hold your breath for exciting news coming out of the lawsuit anytime soon, but certainly it has the industry up in a buzz that, you know, teams, I can tell you, are certainly more cognizant of issues like this coming up in the future. We've seen a few teams say, hey, will you look at our contracts and tell us just how unreasonable or whether it's in line with the industry is really the better way of putting it. And you have, at the same time, I think players are more cognizant of the fact that they need help reviewing these contracts. And, you know, it might be a dream to go and play video games for a living, but the excitement has to kind of take a backseat to reality.
Now, Friedman says that whatever happens, he hopes that this won't just resolve things for Tfue, but actually change the way FaZe Clan operates. He ended our interview by issuing a challenge to FaZe Clan.
I challenge FaZe to do the right thing. I know that a judge and the labor commissioner will find in our favor, and I know that we will win, but it shouldn't even come to that, because FaZe as an organization should be about the people, and it should be about protecting people, and it should be about doing things legally and properly, and that would help everyone.
Thanks for watching. If you want more content like this, hit the sub button and ring that notification bell. For unique bite-sized videos you won't find anywhere else, hit up our Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook pages.